Profound sadness or melancholy is far more than just a gray day or a fleeting moment of discouragement. It's a state that nests itself deep within the soul, making the perception of the world around us a little more opaque, sounds a little more muffled, and colors, at times, seem faded. It's the slowness that sets in not just in physical movements, which seem sluggish, heavy, and lacking agility, but also in mental processing, in the difficulty concentrating, retaining information, or making decisions that were once routine and automatic. The mind often seems clouded, as if under a dense fog. The feeling that time is dragging its feet, that hours don't pass and days succeed each other in an exhaustive monotony, is a classic manifestation of this burden transforming life's fluidity into a slow, dense swamp where every step is a struggle. It's as if a subtle, yet persistent, veil interposes itself between the person and the fullness of life, transforming even the most pleasurable experiences into something distant, almost unattainable, like an inaudible melody. There's a considerable decrease in vital energy, that inner force that propels us, that makes us get out of bed and face the day, transforming even the simplest and most routine actions into monumental challenges. Proactivity, which once flowed naturally, now becomes an Herculean effort, demanding an overload of willpower and an exhaustive internal battle for every small task that needs to be done, from replying to a message to preparing a meal. You might recognize this state in yourself or in someone close, perhaps in the subtlest yet persistent signs, that almost irresistible inclination to stay home, to cancel previously scheduled commitments without an apparent reason that can be verbalized, to silence the phone's ring and disconnect from social media, seeking an isolation that, paradoxically, can bring both momentary relief and a deepening of the inner burden. Consider a day when even the act of getting out of bed felt like an epic battle, a struggle against an invisible force that pinned you to the mattress, demanding every ounce of your willpower to simply rise. Or when conversations, even with loved ones and in environments that were once comfortable and invigorating, become exhausting and draining, stealing the little energy left, making you wish the moment would end quickly, for silence to settle again. Others' joy, though genuine and welcome, seems distant, almost like an echo in a deep, inaccessible valley, unable to penetrate the fog of your own melancholy. Profound sadness manifests in subtle, yet constant and impactful nuances that affect daily life. A gaze fixed more intently into space, the absence of sparkle in eyes that once glimmered with vitality, a lack of appetite that makes food lose its flavor, or paradoxically an uncontrolled appetite as a way to fill an internal void that seems insatiable. Insomnia that haunts the night, preventing much-needed restorative sleep and promising another day of fatigue, or excessive sleep that pulls us into a refuge of forgetfulness and inaction, are both coping mechanisms or symptoms of a body and mind in profound imbalance, crying out for help. This isn't laziness, weakness, or lack of willpower. It's a real weight, an overwhelming inertia that takes hold of one's essence and challenges the lightness and fluidity we so desperately seek in life. It's an urgent invitation to understanding, patience, and, above all, the recognition that this experience is valid, complex, and deserves to be met with empathy, care, and without judgment. It's a state that demands attention, not criticism. Now, I invite you to visualize the turtle in its natural habitat, a creature that seems to personify the very essence of time and persistence. With its slow, deliberate steps, it moves with an almost transcendental patience, as if time, for its most faithful ally, and not a measure to be conquered or an enemy to be fought. Its gait is a meditation in motion, a living and undeniable demonstration that haste is an abstraction alien to its deepest nature, an imposition from the external world that it simply doesn't acknowledge. The shell that envelops it is much more than a mere external bony protection. It is, in fact, its portable home, its impenetrable shield against predators, a safe refuge to which it can retreat in the face of any threat, any unexpected noise. However, and undeniably, it is also an inherent and inseparable burden of its existence. It carries it wherever it goes, a living part of itself, a constant weight that defines its way of being in the world and its interaction with the environment. To observe a turtle is to witness the personification of stoic patience and silent resilience in carrying a constant weight, without ever complaining, without ever speeding up its natural pace or trying to get rid of what defines it. It simply accepts and proceeds. Turtles live by their own rhythm, unaltered and indifferent to the frantic rush of the surrounding world, a rhythm dictated by millennia-old instincts of survival and adaptation. There is no sign of haste for the turtle. Its existence is guided by an internal clock that invites it to constancy, to careful observation of the environment, and to unwavering persistence in its basic life objectives. Its deepest instinct guides it to move forward with unyielding determination, even if speed is by no means its most prominent or impressive characteristic. Whether on solid ground, with steps that seem carved in eternity, leading slow, deep tracks in the sand or earth, or in the depths of the water, where it glides with an unexpected grace for such a robust creature, its presence is one of stability, of an existence that is self-sufficient, even with the imposing baggage that accompanies it at every moment. It doesn't compare itself to hares or birds. It is simply a turtle. Turtles are known for their remarkable longevity, living for decades, and in many species for centuries, becoming silent witnesses to the passage of eras, to changes on the planet, to generations of other species. This longevity is a living and irrefutable proof that the slowness and the weight of its shell are not synonymous with weakness, but rather with profound evolutionary adaptation, with an instinctive wisdom that values energy conservation and safety, and with an admirable persistence in the face of life's challenges and its own fluidity. Its habitat is not just the place where it lives, but is in a way intrinsic to it, an extension of its being. And this inseparable connection with what it carries defines it in its deepest essence and in its remarkable ability to survive and thrive in a constantly changing world. The similarity between the turtle and the human being under the veil of profound sadness is, for those who observe closely, incredibly striking, moving, and deeply revealing. Just as the turtle carries its shell, a physical weight that shapes its gait and its interaction with the environment, making it slower and more cautious. A person immersed in melancholy or profound sadness carries an emotional burden that, though invisible to external eyes, is intensely palpable and notably slows them down in all spheres of life. Every step on life's journey, every decision, no matter how trivial it may seem, whether choosing an outfit to go out, deciding what to eat, or planning the next day, every social interaction, and every task demands a disproportionate effort, as if the person were constantly fighting against a powerful, dense, and exhausting internal current that pulls them backward. The feeling of having the weight of the world on one's shoulders, an expression so common and understandable to describe the burden of responsibility. Anguish or despondency is the same that the turtle expresses in its own anatomy and in its thoughtful, constant way of life. It's not an imaginary weight. It's a physical sensation of exhaustion. The deliberate slowness of the turtle, which seems almost like a choreography of patience and resilience, vividly reflects the inertia that profound sadness imposes on human existence. Tasks that once flowed with ease, enthusiasm, and naturalness now become drawn out, requiring a much greater mental and physical energy expenditure than usual, resulting in a persistent fatigue that doesn't resolve with rest. What once took minutes to complete can now stretch for hours, days, and the mere idea of starting something new or engaging in a pleasurable activity seems exhaustive, almost impossible, an insurmountable wall. The desire for seclusion, to isolate oneself from the world, to hide within one's own shell, be at home, a dark room, or even one's own thoughts. Creating a barrier with the outside is an instinct shared by both. The turtle retreats to protect itself from external threats, to conserve energy in times of danger or scarcity, and to find safety and comfort in its protective shell. Similarly, the melancholic person, or one in a state of overwhelming sadness, seeks isolation as a refuge from a world that seems to demand too much from them, where every social interaction, every smile, every word, is an energy drain that they simply do unpossess or fear they won't be able to sustain. It's an instinctive form of self-protection, a desperate attempt to conserve scarce energy and to shield oneself from stimuli that feel overwhelming and painful. The analogies are clear, profound, and powerful. The physical weight of the turtle's shell, which accompanies it at every instant and in every movement, is the exact mirror of the emotional weight that the human soul carries, a burden that shapes its perception, its gait, and its interaction with the world. Both move forward, but at their own pace, a pace intrinsically shaped by the burden that accompanies them and defines their journeys, their pauses and their advances, demanding unique understanding and patience. The fascinating connection between the slowness observed in the turtle's behavior and the psychomotor inertia felt in human sadness can be more deeply understood through the lens of human neurobiology and comparative biology. When an individual is in a state of profound sadness, persistent melancholy, or clinical depression, significant alterations occur in the complex and delicate orchestration of brain neurotransmitters. Essentially, we are talking about crucial chemical substances such as serotonin, fundamental for regulating mood, sleep, appetite, and overall well-being; dopamine, intimately linked to motivation, pleasure, reward, and the ability to initiate actions and pursue goals; and, to a lesser extent, norepinephrine. These chemical messengers are the maestros that regulate our mood, our energy levels, our motivation for action, and even the subjective perception of time and space, dictating our ability to interact with the world. A decrease in the availability, synthesis, or efficacy of these neurotransmitters in the brain as synapses can result in debilitating symptoms such as unexplained chronic fatigue, a profound and paralyzing lack of motivation to start or complete tasks, and an overwhelming feeling of weight, which manifests both mentally and physically. This explains why, even without having engaged in intense physical exertion, such as a heavy workout or manual labor, the person constantly feels exhausted, as if they had run a marathon or carried a huge weight for hours on end. The brain, in an effort to conserve its scarce available energy, or due to a biochemical imbalance, can, figuratively, downshift the entire central nervous system. Its physical form, bone structure, and metabolism are optimized for efficient movement at low speeds, maximizing energy conservation in environments where resources may be scarce or where discretion and caution are essential to avoid predators. It's a form of homeostasis, an internal balance that allows the species to thrive for long periods. Similarly, the slowness observed in states of profound sadness can be interpreted as an instinctive and adaptive response of the body and mind to rebalance, to conserve oneself, and to cope with an internal overload, even if in a way that is painful and limiting for the individual in their social and productive context. Studies in psychology and psychiatry consistently point to psychomotor retardation, the slowness and general reduction of movements, speech, and thought, as a common and well-documented clinical symptom in severe depressive disorders. This reinforces the idea that the body and mind often unconsciously seek a slower, more protective rhythm when overwhelmed, establishing a surprising biological and behavioral parallel with the persistent and slow journey of the turtle, which carries its burden with silent dignity and unwavering determination. This is similar to a device's power-saving mode when the battery is low, prioritizing vital functions and decreasing less essential ones for immediate survival. It's a self-protective mechanism, even if painful. The turtle's slowness, on the other hand, is not a symptom of illness, but a masterful and evolutionarily advantageous biological adaptation for its survival over millions of years. To make this connection even more tangible and relatable, let's delve into some practical, everyday examples, where the parallel between human sadness and the turtle's behavior becomes vividly evident, almost like a mirror of our own experiences and those of people we know. Imagine Lavra, a project manager who, until recently, was the epitome of proactivity, dynamism, and efficiency in the office. She used to be the first to arrive and the last to leave, always with a smile, brimming with innovative ideas and quick solutions for any challenge that arose. Suddenly, her behavior begins to change subtly, but noticeably to those who observe her closely. She starts arriving a few minutes late, taking much longer to reply to emails she once dispatched in seconds, and postponing simple tasks like organizing her inbox or filling out routine reports, which she previously did effortlessly. Before, Lavra would complete a complex report in an hour, full of energy and focus. Now, the same task seems to drag on for an entire day, or even longer, and with every line written, the feeling of exhaustion and frustration grows. Her slowness isn't laziness, lack of willpower, or disinterest in her responsibilities. She genuinely wants to do things, but she can't. It's a clear sign that she is carrying an invisible burden, an emotional weight that prevents her from moving with the same agility and efficiency as before, just like the turtle that, even with its innate intention to move forward, is inherently limited by the weight of its robust and inseparable shell. Lavra is moving, yes, but at a pace that reflects her internal load, a silent and exhausting battle consuming her from within. Or consider the story of Joe, a vibrant young man who used to be the life of the party, the first to organize a football game with friends, and to chat late into the night about plans and dreams, always with contagious energy. Now, when invited to a social gathering, the mere idea of having to get ready, having to go to the location, having to interact and maintain a lively conversation, and having to smile and pretend everything is fine becomes an overwhelming burden. Each of these have-tos is like a small anchor pulling him down, making him retreat into his imaginary shell, the comfort and safety of home, the silence of his room, where he doesn't have to make an effort to interact or mask what he feels, where he can truly be who he is. His desire for isolation, to close himself off from the outside world, is a direct reflection of how the turtle completely retreats to protect itself from threats or to conserve its vital energy during periods of inactivity. Joe seeks refuge from the energy drain that social interaction now demands, as his emotional reservoir is depleted, and the simple act of socializing seems to exhaust his last remaining strength, leaving him even more prostrate. These are the mini stories of real life where the weight of the soul translates into slower movements, an almost instinctive seclusion, and a deep desire to remain in a safe, controlled space, minimizing effort and exposure. These vivid examples illustrate how human behavior under the weight of sadness mirrors the resilient yet ponderous nature of the turtle, which moves at its own pace, carrying its own world with every step on its own journey, no matter how slow it may be. By observing the turtle and its intrinsic relationship with the weight of life it carries, we are invited to draw profound lessons and initiate powerful reflections on our own existence and our complex emotional states. First, the turtle teaches us a fundamental truth, often underestimated in our fast-paced world. That slowness is by no means synonymous with weakness, inefficiency, or lack of progress. It, with its remarkable burden and measured pace, persistently moves forward, day after day, mile after mile, for decades and centuries. This powerful image reminds us that it is perfectly possible to progress and eventually achieve our goals and desires, even when the pace of our journey is different from what's expected imposed by others, expectations, or the frantic speed of modern society. Profound sadness, though painful and challenging, can be an unexpected teacher, inviting us to respect our own time, to honor our physical and emotional limits, and not to blame or punish ourselves for not being at the same accelerated pace as others. Allow yourself to be slow. Allow yourself to take breaks. Allow yourself to rest and recover when your body and mind demand it. It is an act of wisdom and self-compassion, not failure or giving up. This deep and ancient connection with the turtle also reminds us that seclusion and introspection can be legitimate and often essential forms of self-protection and energy replenishment. Just as the turtle completely retreats to defend itself from predators, to conserve energy during times of danger or scarcity of resources, or to rest safely within its protective shell, we too can and should allow ourselves moments of conscious isolation, of silent introspection, to process complex emotions, to reflect on our lives, and, crucially, to recover our physical and emotional energies that have been depleted. This is not an act of surrender, cowardice, or escape from reality, but rather a gesture of instinctive wisdom and primordial self-care, a way to nourish the soul when it is fragile. The turtle's journey is, in its purest essence, a vibrant metaphor for our own innate and unyielding resilience. It carries its own unique world on its back, with all its challenges, vulnerabilities, and unique characteristics, but despite everything, it continues its journey, step by step, day after day, with admirable constancy and dignity. We, as human beings, can also learn to carry our emotional burdens with more understanding and less self-judgment. We can accept that these burdens are part of our journey at certain times, that they shape who we become, and that, even with them, we are capable of moving forward, learning, and evolving. The great and liberating lesson the turtle offers us is that, even under the weight of overwhelming emotions, there exists a silent, yet powerful and resilient force within us, a spark of life that propels us to continue, to seek light, and to find a path, however slow it may be. This force allows us to seek a rhythm that is more authentic to us, that enables us to flourish, and find new meaning and purpose in our own time and in our own unique way. Life is a continuous journey with its ups and downs, its moments of heaviness and lightness, and every step, no matter how slow, is a step forward in discovering who we are and how we can flourish even with the weight on our shoulders.